So gonna just pry down on the differential a little bit. The idea is pry down, roll it forward. Sounds like those CV joints are a little stiff. So it's down on the frame. I'm not going to pry anymore until I can take a closer look at it. But that's what I'm going to do for the differential, and now I'm going to go work on the exhaust, loosen that up at the back of the engine. Okay, I'm going to remove the exhaust. I'm going to try to do it from the top. I don't know if removing this plastic cooling duct, apparently for the clutch housing, will allow me to do it from the top or if I've got to do it from below. So I'm going to cut these tie wraps. Then there's two 10mm screws, apparently more than 10. Okay, found the proper socket. Was a 10mm, I had a 9mm. This is a handy little 1/4-inch driver that has a 1/4-inch square drive in the top, so you can break tight fasteners free. And then spin them out quickly. So, apparently no mice living in here. That's a good thing. So here I'm removing the exhaust manifold bolts and remove some of the cooling ducts and fan ducts to be able to get at it. Looks like there's 2 pipes that go into one muffler. So then I'm expecting 4 studs back here, 4 exhaust studs that I need to get to. Feels like, now this one came out as a complete stud, which isn't a problem because we're going to be disassembling a lot. We'll use never sees on these studs, which is usually aluminum or for high heat copper based. So it's like a very fine metal paste, and then it won't allow steel parts to rust together or corrode. Working blind here, but don't really need to see, just need to wrench them off. And after this, I'm going to go underneath and loosen up the motor mount brackets where they're attached to the engine. And we'll disconnect these wires, and we'll try lifting the engine out.
Are we gonna try that tonight?
I don't think so. If I can get this out or get these studs off and get back underneath and loosen up the motor mounts, then we'll do that. Still a school night. We don't get too much time to work on this. Hour or so each night with everything that's going on. There's a skid plate under here, but at this point it's a steel skid plate. So I don't. Plastic skid plate is farther back. Don't think it would do anything for us. So we didn't open this up because we were using the bed for storage of tools and things. Quentin, can you get some oil on the threads of these screws? But now at least I can see the nuts. For the exhaust pipes. And yeah, I would like to take the exhaust off. If we can get the engine out, probably without removing it, then, but we'll paint it, make it look better.
How would we get the engine out without removing it?
Well, I think the engine's gonna come forward and up, so it's, well, the nuts will come off. Oh. Huh. Pulled that sparkler wire out when I was removing that duct. Switch to the 1/4-inch drive. Get more swing out of it. Okay. $12mm 1/4-inch socket. I'm wondering if this welding has been done after the fact, if they had an exhaust leak or something. It doesn't quite look like factory welding. I think they may have, looks like they piled some weld in there to seal it up. But again, when we remove it, we'll be able to get a better look at it. So this is the 4th of 4 nuts for the exhaust manifold, exhaust flanges. I think I'll loosen up these mounting screws. That will allow the exhaust system to jiggle around. Don't know if I suppose I can pull it out the back that way also, but that'll give us some freedom and flexibility here. Tools that I have up at the cottage would help. Have universal joints for these sockets, and I could get more swivel and get more motion out of it. But we're getting it. stud out before I lose it. So 2 studs came out, and 2 just the nuts. There we go. I have 10 millimeter again.
1/4 inch.
Sure. Thank you. 10 or a 12, I guess. Must be an 11. And this one's 12. And an 11 millimeter socket, Andrew. Let me double check. Oh, I'm sorry. It is 10. Probably gonna need a 10 millimeter wrench. Probably would be easier if I was over on that side, but I'll get it from this side.
Should I grab the ratchet?
Sure.
Oh. There's a pretty big opening.
Okay. The exhaust system is definitely loose. We're back underneath. going to loosen the motor mounts. Quentin, actually I need an 8mm. Move the nuts where the motor mounts, the rubber mounts are attached to the frame, but it just seems like it'll pull out a little bit easier if I can wiggle these motor mounts around. We'll pull it forward so then these will be parallel to the direction we're pulling in the rear, but the front ones are, they would hang up, but we do need to lift the front also, so lift it up and forward. Sorry, Quentin, 9mm. And you can see the serial number on the engine down here. But we'll get a better look at it when we get it out. Again, I'm sort of amazed for its age and has 600 plus hours on it that it's just not caked full of mud. I think the original owner didn't put too many trail miles on it, maybe since it's camouflage. I bought it for hunting and did a lot of time idling because it has relatively low hours or low miles for so many hours. And the second owner, the guy we bought it from, seems like he mostly drove it back and forth to his farm from town.
About 40 miles a year total.
Oh, yeah.
For 14 years.
So yeah, I didn't have any expectation. Wasn't shopping for so many hours or so few hours or miles. Just shopping for something that needed work and would be at a low price. So I think after we get these motor mounts loose, then we'll call it quits for tonight and prepare for lifting the engine tomorrow. Quentin, you want to put that one in the pan? No, put him by himself. Also, I'm going to, when I get to a point, I'm going to blow air through the oil lines and flush all the oil out, just to get an idea of how much oil was truly in this unit. It holds just over 2 quarts with the oil filter change, and it doesn't look like we got 2 quarts out. So even though the damage is done, curious how much oil was in it. And on the ATV version of this engine, it has an exterior oil reservoir, not in the crankcase, called the dry sump system. mostly for being able to have the engine lower in the frame. But Harleys usually have a dry sump system and can hold more oil. An engine like this, that 2 quarts oil isn't too much, but run a little bit more oil if it has a temperature problem. So put an oil temperature gauge on it. Keep track of the oil temperature. Because usually, in a race car, oil can get it up to about 260 degrees. That's about as hot as you'd want to go. And the water's running at about 190, 95. Here's the other screw, Quentin. Now we have the through bolt with the 14 millimeter. And that will, not going to take it off, but just allow the motor mount to pivot back and forth. Those 2 smaller 10 millimeter hex heads were just to keep the bracket in place. Alright, we worked on it about an hour tonight and got the exhaust loosened up, got the motor mounts where they attach to the engine loosened up, and I think got the differential sort of moved forward a little bit, haven't popped the drive shaft out, removed some of the ducts, cooling ducts, various cooling ducts. So I think tomorrow we'll be able to work on, I'm going to remove the airbox, and then we'll be able to try to lift the engine out of here with some Egyptian technology, a big pipe and a strap, and see if we can lift it up. So that's all for tonight. See you tomorrow, guys.
I'm
Of
Clinton,
course. And I'm Andrew.
and we're the
Brothers of Tool.
And I'm the old man.